Roundtable. God damn it. Yes. Michael Storey back in town.
Gents, what's going on?
The sports betting intel guy, our guy, one of the most knowledgeable football guys I know.
Happy to have
this
you back.
man we know is Nick O-Face.
Yeah.
And I'm just Rob.
Just Rob.
So ceiling floor today. Fun exercise. I kind of cooked up, on the grill. We just had some good grilled food too.
Yeah, good job.
We're all ready to go, man.
Chicken
Our
wings.
bellies are full.
Yep. You're not going to hear any grumbling in the mics.
Burgers.
Let's go. A couple of things for you. Per usual, I watched some Devin Hester, all of his returns today. He was insane.
I got a good Devin Hester question.
Yeah.
Should he be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
It's the Hall of Fame, not the Hall of Stats, right? He's the most famous punt returner, kick returner of all time.
Returner,
Now, I got a
just
funny
returner.
Devin Hester story for you.
Yeah.
Remember the Super Bowl where he returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown? We're sitting at the bar 2 nights before. My buddy says, Devin Hester's going to return the very first ball that he touches. I'm like, get the hell out of here. You're so wrong. It's
Never been
ridiculous.
done.
Yeah. I'm like, you're so wrong. It's ridiculous. He's like, I'll bet you $5. I'm like, straight up $5? Because, the odds of that should be like
10 to 1.
Yeah, 30 to 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. You fight straight up $5. Of course, Devin Hester cranks it off in the Super Bowl, and it's the best $5 I've ever lost. And then everybody afterwards was like, you gave him even money on that? Like, you dummy.
Yeah.
So it brings me to Tony Dungy. I hate him.
Yes.
Why was he kicking to fucking Devin Hester? That guy sucked as a coach. He sucks as a person. Fuck you, Tony Dungy. Is this a repeat episode?
No, we just want to be clear.
He's a big God guy.
Yeah, very big God guy. He is God, actually. Like instead of the Jesus we know with the long hair, it's just Tony Dungy.
It's Tony Dungy.
Yeah, he's God. But is there anyone better at their job in their prime than Devin Hester was as a returner? Can you think of anyone? The only one I thought of was Justin Tucker. Because that dude is
automatic,
unreal, distance, clutch, you name it. He's that much better than his counterparts through history. Devin Hester there's other guys that were solid, right? Devin Hester was that much better than everyone else. He changed the game. They changed the rules because of him. And you couldn't even kick to him. And then guess what? He's back there returning a field goal miss.
Yeah.
Just everything, dude. Devin Hester was unreal.
But now they've completely taken returns away.
Right.
Everything, no matter where you catch it, comes out to the 25.
So exciting.
The game is different than it was 15 years
so
ago.
crazy.
Sure.
Why even have kickers at that point? Why even have kickoffs?
Right.
Don't even do the kickoffs. Just start at 25 every time.
They should. But we like to see it on the off chance the kicker fucks up, right?
Yeah.
Or kicks it out of bounds.
Because the NFL's priority is safety, right? They want to make it safer. Don't worry about the Thursday night games where dudes are getting hurt on these short weeks and all these other bullshit problems.
All right.
Fucking
we
NFL.
are going upside floor here, ceiling floor, running backs first. So, first 3 grouping here. This is a good one. Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, Tony Pollard. Who has the biggest upside? I'm going to start with you, Story.
Yeah, it's JT. It's JT by a mile. Listen, I love Saquon Barkley, and I tolerate Tony Pollard. But Jonathan Taylor is the best talent amongst these 3 running backs, and he's got the best opportunity. He dealt with injuries all of last year, and if things click this year with a rookie running back or rookie wide receiver, rookie quarterback, who's the best athletic prospect that we've ever seen, and things go right, and they score more than we think they can, then Jonathan Taylor could have a monster season this year.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me. I do like Taylor a lot. Former Wisconsin Badger alum. I'm a bit of a homer with my sports. Barkley, to me, is still the most talented running back out of these 3. And if he actually shows up, actually plays, that offense ran through him last year, you know what you're going to get with Danny Dimes, and they didn't add any receivers. It's going to be Barkley.
I agree, and I'm going to preface all this with a couple free agents still looming and holdouts. We're going to throw that out. We're going to say that this does not count. That they are going to be showing up playing, right?
Okay.
My upside is Barkley as well. Just the catches, he is the offense. Yeah, they brought in receivers, but they brought in a bunch of guys. And they only have 3 receiver spots per play, and they have 9 of them. I don't know what they're doing. They're going to rotate them so they're fresh.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they are playing receiver, not running back. You don't have to do that. So my upside is Barkley just because the touchdown upside, the long play upside, the catch upside, you name it. Floor.
Floor for me, Taylor feels the safest. It's a really good offensive line there. I think he's going to get a lot of work. Pollard, I'm excited to see what he's going to do without Zeke, but I think Taylor's a little more talented of a runner with a better O-line.
Storey?
Yeah, I went back and forth on this. I think you can make the argument that any of these three guys has the safest floor, but I ended up on Barkley simply because of the workload opportunity, and we know that he does catch passes out of the backfield. And so, barring injury, I think Barkley's got the best path towards a consistent Fantasy 1 finish.
I have Taylor as well. Look at us. See, we're simpatico. And it's mostly just because...
Now kiss.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah.
It's mostly because the 280 carries is going to have, regardless of Gardner Minshew or the rookie Richardson.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has that. He doesn't have really the catch-up side, although we know he can catch a little bit. And for me, Tony Pollard, it's funny, we all love Tony Pollard off. He is the X factor, right? Like, I could see him having the best year of all these guys.
Yeah.
I could also see him
be
being
the
the
RB1
safest.
or he could be the RB9.
But
I
it's
don't
not
trust
the
that
most
offense.
likely.
I don't dislike Pollard the talent. I dislike that offense. I don't like the coach, and I don't like the offensive coordinator.
And the last thing I do want to say is that this is not baking in injury-prone players. Like, we're not going to do that, right? Like, because Tony Pollard is the most injury-prone of all these guys, just based on his size profile.
Sure.
Would we agree?
I guess you could argue that.
Okay,
Yeah.
next group here. Henry, Stevenson, Jacobs. I'm going to go upside to
King
Mike
Henry.
Storey.
It's King Henry. If things click with the Titans this year, Tannehill looks like they are going to run with him since they signed DeAndre Hopkins. So that offense has just taken a tick up. Derrick Henry, he's got 2,000 yards written all over him, and he is going to run away with this league. He's got by far the biggest upside.
Absolutely, I agree with you. You saw it when Henry had A.J. Brown there. You're bringing in a similar receiver type as A.J. Brown was with Hopkins. That offense is going to run through him, and it's going to be fun to watch.
I have Henry as well. I mean, how can you debate it?
Yeah.
Like, it's just like the ground and pound, the long runs, you name it. This is his last year, right? Why would they not use him? I know they drafted the rookie Tajay Spears, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on. We've seen this before with these other guys that never do anything. This is King Henry's time upside. Now, there's a downside of their offense sucks. But we always think they suck, and guess what? They go 9-7 and they ground and pound. What do you got for floor here?
Safest floor for me is Jacobs. I like Stevenson. I just don't trust Belichick to run one running back all that much. I know Cook isn't there yet. He is the favorite to sign with them. Jacobs put up the most last year. I know Carr left, but I don't feel like it's a huge drop-off to Garoppolo. And pending, him showing up and actually playing, Jacobs should have a high-volume year, a lot of production.
We should caveat this with both Jacobs and Barkley have contract concerns.
Yes.
And that's one of the reasons I didn't roll with Jacobs, but more so I went with Henry as my floor guy here because you know the workload that he's getting, and if they're going to feed him the ball 25 times a game, you've got every opportunity to make sure that you have, at the very least, a top 12 running back. I don't trust Belichick, I don't trust that running back rotation, and I don't trust the Raiders at all. I don't think that they can even do half of what they did last year, so I don't know that Jacobs is going to be the same workhorse that he was last year. I think they're going to try out some new young guys.
I have Henry as well, for the same reasons you just said. Like, Jacobs actually has the same touch floor as Henry, but the offense, as much as we want to say the Titans' offense isn't great, I know it's going to be better than the Raiders probably.
Yeah.
Right? Probably, because the Raiders could be 3-win team. Especially if Garoppolo's not healthy, which, again, the health thing, but this is other stuff health. And Garoppolo also, even if he is healthy, is going to get hurt. Nick, you know this in your heart.
Yes. And he's going to cost them games, but those games don't cost Jacobs production. And Jacobs is risky, but...
Yeah, no, I mean, it's hard to debate the leading rusher last year and the guy that
Yeah.
broke out. That's still 25.
I just watched him do it last year, right?
Yeah. All right, next group, we have Breece Hall, we have Harris, and Jahmyr Gibbs. Najee Harris, that is. Storey, upside.
Breece Hall. I love Breece Hall. I love that kid. He does amazing things. When he was breaking out last year, he was catching balls out of the backfield. He was having 20 carry games, and then he got hurt. And the big concern there is obviously the injury risk, or the injury, coming back from the injury. At least it was a clean tear. He looks like he's on track for week 1. You have to be cautious. We do have studies that show production for running backs do go down after the first year. But I think if he eases back in with Aaron Rodgers, who basically made Aaron Jones a thing for several years out of the backfield, catching passes out of the backfield, Breece Hall, I think, has got the tremendous upside this year.
And the injury was early, too.
Yeah, it helped that it was, October?
Week 5, week
Yeah.
6. I think it
Okay,
was
so
pretty early.
mid-October.
Yeah. What do you got?
Ditto, man. I feel the exact same way. It's Hall. We've seen it out of him. Where Gibbs is an electric player, but I haven't seen it yet. And Najee, I don't even know if he's the best running back on that team.
Ooh, I have Hall as well. It's easy money for me. Although he's the most polarizing of the group just based on the injury and the unknown of Aaron Rodgers. Which the thing is, it's Aaron Rodgers, so the unknown of Aaron Rodgers is still way better than Andy Dalton.
And
say that?
And we believe. We're Rodgers believers.
I'm not. So. I think he sucks.
Whoa! All right,
personally and professionally.
Oh, what do you got, Floor?
Floor out of those three, it's tough. And I hate going with the same guys. Why I went Jacobs instead of Henry on the last one, even though Henry makes the most sense as the floor. But I got to go Hall here because I don't trust Najee or that offense, and I don't know what you're going to get out of Gibbs. It's going to be an up and down season, I think. And
how could your floor guy be a guy coming back from injury, though? That's an issue.
I don't know. I'm just saying. I like that offense. I feel like it's... dude, this was a hard one for me, but I had to pick. I went Hall.
Story?
I don't think it's close. I think it's Najee Harris, and I think it's strictly because of Mike Tomlin. He'll love to run one guy into the ground. So when it comes to his bell count back, Najee Harris, we saw they increased their offensive line this year through the draft and through free agency. They're going to run the ball. I think Kenny Pickett takes a step forward, and now you've got a guy who's going to get a guaranteed 18 to 22 touches per game. That speaks floor to me.
Yeah, Harris for me too. It's not even close. Just like he is a floor player. That's why I'm not drafting him because I play with my nuts out. They're on the table. That's how I play. But if you do get a value on him, you need just upside receivers, right? You need a guy that's guaranteed 13 fantasy points a game PPR.
Yeah,
that's Harris, and we've seen him have 7 catches in a year. That was with Big Ben. We've seen him do all these things. I don't think he's a great player. I think he's getting underrated in terms of a player because he was Derrick Henry coming out, was he not? He has not shown that. He's a little slow.
He was hyped coming out.
He was very hyped. And he's just an easy money floor for me just because we all hate Gibbs. Can we all agree with that this year?
I don't hate Gibbs. Are we moving on to the next tier?
We are about to. I just wanted a little Gibbs point here.
Yeah, I don't hate Gibbs, and we'll get into it on the next.
Yeah, because I have Gibbs in the next tier as well. Good call. Yeah. I don't know why I did that, but it actually works out. Next tier, we have ETN, Dobbins, and Gibbs. Story, who's your upside?
It's Dobbins, and it's the offense. It's everything. I love the Ravens' offense this year. I love Lamar Jackson coming back, former MVP. Even with Dobbins' gimpy leg last year, he still performed, and he still carried himself, drug his sore leg into the end zone several times. If they convert some of those passing touchdowns from any of the other guys into running touchdowns, then Dobbins hasn't made in the shade.
5.9 yards per carry, man. All-time leader, but just doesn't have even close to the sample size you need.
Yeah.
Because we realized Rashad Penny is also second best.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
And he even in 5 years, dude, only has like 400 carries. So it's a bigger number that needs to be for the baseline. What do you got?
I got Dobbins again. If you've watched any of our previous handful of shows, you know I'm excited about that Ravens offense too. Munkin's one running back kind of guy. I think that Lamar dials back that running a little bit, and Dobbins just feasts.
Dobbins for me, it's easy as hell. Very polarizing, and it was the injury last year, and this year it's just also, are they going to really run him? Because they have Gus Edwards. They probably have 2 other guys and Lamar, right? Mm-hmm. But the offense, we all agree, is going to take a step up. The efficiency is unreal. And not even just from him, it's just in general. Mark Ingram had that awesome year with 5 or 6 receiving touchdowns.
That's the year I'm looking at for Dobbins. That's what I'm projecting.
And he comps to Mark Ingram, would we agree? Mm-hmm. Like maybe even more.
He's not going to get 20 touches a game. They've got Gus Edwards there still, but he can get 14 touches or 14 carries a game,
3 catches,
4 targets, and whatever it is.
Yeah, give me that with touchdown upside with the player we know is good and a good offense. So, who is your floor?
My floor out of this one is Dobbins as well. I wanted to go Gibbs in a way, but Montgomery's there, and I have a hard time knowing what Gibbs is going to be. I'm a big Tank Bigsby believer. I think he's going to take a lot of the inside of the 20s work away from ETN. But you saw I don't know. I have a hard time watching ETN run down the middle and expect him to do that as much as he did again this year and get the volume that he did. So I'm going Dobbins floor too.
Story?
So I do want to preface this by saying I do like Gibbs as a talent. I think he, as a rookie, he's got a really good opportunity to carve out a role. I just don't trust Dan Campbell. I don't trust the Lions. I don't trust them. They I don't know what they were doing with DeAndre Swift. This whole thing, trading away, it's too much. ETN's my floor guy, and that is because of the workload that we saw him get last year. He's not getting the targets, which sucks, but this is a floor play, not an upside play. And we know that ETN is, at least until Tank Bigsby really turns it on. And, I saw Tank Bigsby play at Auburn a lot. I think ETN has that job locked down, at least for the first 10 weeks.
I'm agreeing with all of you guys. Like, you guys haven't agreed at all as much. I am taking ETN as easy money, and here's the reason why. If he doesn't get what he was getting last year was essentially the Derrick Henry treatment, which we all agree is probably not going to happen. He's going to be increasing the passing game, offense better.
I think he has to be, right?
Dude. Has to. And the thing is, he dropped like 3 touchdowns last year. And as an ETN owner everywhere, I watched these and literally pulled my hair out, what little hair I have left. I pulled out because they were walking touchdowns, doing this with the ball. Bro, catch the ball. All right?
Catch and turn.
But he's got the good offense, the passing down roll, and possibly the 3-down work. Now, I like Tank Bigsby as well. Next group, we have Alexander Madison, Miles Sanders, and Cam Akers. Upside, Story, what do you got?
It kills me, but it's got to be Cam Akers. And it kills me because I hate Sean McVay, and I hate the praise that he's gotten as a genius. He's a faux genius.
He's a good-looking guy, though.
Okay, there's a lot of good-looking guys in the NFL. Jimmy Garoppolo's in the NFL.
Not Tony Dungy.
That's true.
Fucking gnome.
Jimmy Garoppolo's
Sorry, go on.
That's fine. It's Akers, and it's strictly the workload that he was given at the end of last year. This was a very, very weird situation. I think we touched on it in a previous podcast episode last year where Akers rumors about being traded, and then there was him not getting the carries, and then he got the carries, and then all of a sudden he's getting 25 touches a game. And with that, if Matthew Stafford comes back healthy and Cooper Kupp comes back healthy, you've got a really strong offense there. Akers as both the between the tackles guy and the end zone guy and the dump off guy, I think there's upside there.
And it's hard for me with Akers because it's been burned in fantasy. You watch him do nothing and be in the doghouse, turn right back around into, like you said, 20, 25 touches and all this work. It's super hard to trust, but Sanders in a rookie-led Carolina Panthers team with a good defense, I just don't know how much offense is there. So Akers has got to be the upside.
It's Sanders for me. It's not even close because it's upside, right? And if that offense is middle of the pack, they paid him the money. We saw his rookie year. He is a serviceable receiver. The money they paid him, the 3-down work, the offense upside, if it's even average, he's gonna destroy all these guys.
And you look at what CMC did on that team with a shitty quarterback and a shitty offensive around
Deontay Foreman.
And the game should stay close because of their good defense.
And do you think they trust Chuba Hubbard? No way.
This NFC scrote, right? Mm-hmm. It's a super weak division, so I completely agree with you.
That's why it's my upside.
And it was hard for me.
He's going to get the touches. Mm-hmm. It's a question of the offense, but this is why it's an upside play. Who is your floor?
My floor is going to be Sanders, and then that's exactly it. I think the offense has to go through him. I don't think you're asking Bryce Young to come out there and sling it and win a bunch of games for you. They're going to be close. Game script should be to where they can run to stay in it and set up the pass.
Same. It's Sanders for me, his floor, because it's the rookie quarterback syndrome where they're going to need to rely on their playmaker in order to make plays. So he's not going to be a huge volume guy on the ground, but he's got plenty of opportunity through the air. To me, that equates to guaranteed touches. The only other guy that could even threaten is Chuba Hubbard, who's still on the roster there. But I just don't think with a rookie quarterback and kind of a weak offensive line that there's a lot of upside scoring there. So that's why floor to me, not upside.
No love for Madison then, huh?
No.
I know
I don't know what to do with Madison anymore.
Me neither.
And I was in love with Madison, and then I watched your guys' podcast, and I was like, is this an anti-Madison take or a pro-Ty Chandler take?
It is both.
For me, it's a pro-Ty Chandler.
You know who Madison is this year? Think about last year, going into the fantasy season, what Chase Edmonds was. That's Madison this year. It's the okay running back.
Same team, though.
It's the okay running back who's going to get all this volume, and we're going to just feed him because of it. I'm not buying it.
Until they don't. And it's a volume play, and that's why Madison is my floor. And he's tried and true. This is his time, and also this is not a bad team. So as much as I love Ty Chandler, like why I like Madison is, this isn't even for the exercise, but you can get a handcuff, not a Tony Pollard or in the previous year's Madison, in the last round. Mm-hmm. And if he does overtake him or if there's an injury, cheap as hell. I love handcuffing. Kinky Sheriff over here.
Yep.
It's Madison just because at least early on, and I would have Akers, don't get me wrong, but a guy that has stepped away from the team because of whatever reason, how do we know that's not happening again? that's a red flag, man. Like when a girl cheats on you once,
it's not safe.
She's gonna tell you she's not gonna cheat on you again. Next thing you know, she's in a fucking glory hole bathroom sucking a bunch of dudes off. And that's what Akers is going to be doing.
Not an ideal situation.
I like Akers more as an upside play than a floor play. That's why I had to go Madison, because I cannot go Miles Sanders train.
Score! Game on! Game on!
Okay.
Go to sportsbettingintel.com.
Yeah.
We got a lot of stuff working. We're working on a lot of stuff for college football. So we're trying to become like the one-stop shop for all the resources you need. Everybody does NFL betting. We're going to do college football betting. We're going to try to differentiate, make you some money this year. So go to sportsbettingintel.com, see everything we got, follow us on social media. You won't be disappointed.
And college betting's tough, man. There's only 32 NFL teams that you need to learn and know and figure out. You can evaluate patterns and trends. There's a lot more to college, and the depth that's involved with it. You have to be incredibly knowledgeable and devote a ton of time to that. And your average football fan outside of the South, right, down in Alabama, Georgia area, I think most of the rest of the country is all NFL. And the ones in the South, if they can even bet in their states still, need to take advantage of it. But as a whole, that's an awesome niche that you guys are taking advantage of, and I recommend you check them out, man. You're not going to figure it out on your own.
Okay, next group here, DeAndre Swift, David Montgomery, and Rachaad White. Upside story, what do you got?
Rachaad White. I watched this kid play at Arizona State, 5.0 yards per carry in the Pac-12. I love Rachaad White's opportunity this year. There's nobody that's catching passes out of the backfield. He proved that he could do it with Tom Brady. I have full faith that Rachaad White is going to have a monster season. I'm predicting a top 12 fantasy running back season for Rachaad White.
I like it. A spicy take there by Story.
This is not hot takes, but I love it.
Yep. So I agree with what you're saying with White. He's an above-average player. The volume should be there, even though I don't always love leaning on that as an argument. But like you said, who else is going to catch passes? My concern if it's Baker, Baker doesn't check down as much, right? Like he wants to make something happen down the field. So I'm not sure how much throwing the running backs are going to have. Montgomery is going to be challenged by Gibbs, and Swift is just such an unknown. But I love the athlete and the talent in Swift, and I'm going to shoot my shot with him, man. I'm going all or nothing upside with Swift.
Makes sense. I have Rachaad White, and it's funny because what you said about Rachaad White in college, ASU, I fell in love with him coming out last year in the process, and I said he was a smaller version of Le'Veon Bell. And we didn't get to see it this year because there was 10 guys in the box. And that's crazy because Tom Brady was playing quarterback, but no one could go downfield, and he couldn't throw downfield, and the offensive line couldn't hold up for more than 2 seconds. So we don't know. They always talk about, Rachaad White's advanced metrics are so bad. Bro, we don't know what they were because it was trash. I know he caught passes. I know he's a better than average prospect. Would you agree?
100%.
And
that's why I have him.
Yeah, he picked up a lot of volume late in the year, too. He didn't start getting majority of touches.
No, until week 8, week 9.
Yeah, until halfway through
and
the
Rachaad
season.
White is a great – like I say, he's a great player.
gone.
Leonard
Fournette
Fournette's
is gone.
And he is a good player on a bad offense that can catch passes. I know, like, you're not going to get the top 5, top 8 running back from a bad offense, but this group right here has nobody with that upside besides Swift, but not in that backfield, man.
With Penny and with everything else,
no,
sure.
and
like,
they don't. And he doesn't
super
catch.
risky.
His strength is catching, and the Eagles were 32nd in the league in pass attempts to running backs last year. Now, will that change a little bit? Probably, but it's going to be 26th. That's why it's Rachaad White. What's your floor?
All those exact reasons you just said is why White's my floor. He feels incredibly safe. It's going to be volume. It's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy, and he could have the ceiling. It's probably the more logical ceiling, but I think Swift could do it if he.
No, Swift is only ceiling. He's definitely not floor because Swift could be nothing.
Yeah,
because they didn't pay a lot to get him.
Depending on where you got to draft these guys, it's probably not worth the risk, most likely. But
It's 6th, 7th round.
yeah.
So what do you got?
It's Montgomery for me. Floor play. I think he slips right into that Williams role. Dan Campbell, ground and pound, loves biting kneecaps. David Montgomery proved he could do it with the Bears. You're looking at a 10 to 12 touchdown season, which to me screams floor play.
Monty for me as well. Just, he's probably going to have 7 to 8 touchdowns this year. And I don't know if the catch-up size there with Gibbs, but, like, we know he's a serviceable pass catcher with a quarterback that dumps down. And no one, Jamal Williams was going 55 last year, running backs.
Right.
And Montgomery is as good of a player, if not better. And he's younger, and they brought him in for a reason. I know they didn't draft Gibbs yet, but he is the floor play here.
Yeah, paid him good money.
Yeah. Next group here, James Cook, Antonio Gibson, or A.J. Dillon.
So for ceiling, I'm looking at Antonio Gibson here, and it's a lot of the talent coming to manifest. We know that Antonio Gibson, as a former wide receiver, can catch the ball. If Ron Rivera decides to be reasonable and actually give the passing down work to Gibson, right? Remember, J.D. McKissick is gone now. If they decide that they're going to take some of the work away from Brian Robinson, try to split it up, give Gibson the touchdown equity that he deserves, then there is plenty of opportunity for him to be an upside play in fantasy. I think even if you can switch a little bit, even a high-end RB2.
Yeah, and I completely agree. It's going to be a lot of its game script for me with Gibson, the pass catching back there. I like Robinson on the 1s and 2s, and getting the short yardage looks. But that offense is going to be in a bunch of shootouts. They're going to be playing from behind. Mentioned former receiver. It's all upside for Gibson, and I am positive that's going to be Robbie's answer.
Yes. I mean, you guys have said all my points. The team's going to be trash. He's the best athlete in that backfield. Brian Robinson's great at surviving gunshot wounds, which is cool. But
that's a good
so
thing.
is 50 Cent.
That's something to be good at.
He is 50 Cent. And
maybe they form their own little club.
Nobody has a
50?
gun on in the stadium. Hopefully, let's hope.
No last Boy Scout.
No. So it's Gibson all day here for upside. He's a great player. And he's still really young, right? He's 24 years old. He's got the experience. He was going to be raw, and he's scored 21 touchdowns in 3 years, man. Like, he's going to do it again. Floor, what do you got?
I'm going Dillon because I have very little faith in Love to move this offense, and I think it's going to have to go through Jones and Dillon. You're going to see, I think they want to split that work up a little bit, make sure Jones stays healthy, and just know that I'm going to see 10 to 12 touches out of this guy every week, I think.
It's James Cook for me. Yeah, AJ Dillon is a premier handcuff, but James Cook, and I went back and forth. Actually, I scratched out Gibson and I went with James Cook because Ron Rivera's an idiot, and he could certainly do what he did last year and just give James Robinson 15 carries and leave Gibson on the bench. So if that happens, James Cook is technically the lead back in Buffalo, right? You've got a couple other guys that you have to be concerned about, Damian Harris, Latavius Murray. Both of them have been productive in the past. But Sean McDermott knows what he's doing. It's a team with a lot of touchdown potential, a lot of offensive upside. And to me, that says that James Cook is going to be given a role, and that role, even if it's not the upside that we want, it's a steady role.
And he was extremely efficient with his touches last year. He fumbled that first carry he had.
Yeah.
Early on was, bench 4 weeks?
Yep.
I like James Cook. He is just not a tackle breaker, and they play in Buffalo, and they're a no-nonsense team. That's why I cannot have him. I debated him for my upside, but, I have to have Gibson. So my floor is A.J. Dillon, just because every year he said the same thing, 180 carries, right? 800 yards, 6 touchdowns, 38 targets.
Yeah.
I like that. And in this offense, I just think he is the bruising back. He can catch, and Aaron Jones, he's got some tread, man. And Aaron Jones does not fit this offense as much as he fit an Aaron Rodgers offense, right? Right place in the right time doesn't matter when you have Jordan Love playing quarterback. Let's get the big motherfucker in there that's going to punish you, right? And this division's not great. That's my
You seen that dude's quads?
And we
Very big.
They have nicknames, right? They're big enough to have nicknames.
Next group.
We're Damian Harris truthers, and I think that's going to come through in this next group.
I think so too. I think so too.
So I'm glad you talked about Cook because we probably won't ever much. But
we don't.
Out of these next three,
Rashad Penny, Brian Robinson, Damian Harris. Story, who is your upside?
It's Rashad Penny. It has a lot to do with what he's done when he's healthy. So assuming that he puts it together, and everybody is injury prone until they're not, and we've seen that across the league. If he can stay healthy, and most of these guys are going to miss a game, 2 games, 3 games here or there, but if he can stay together for 13, 14 games, then he's got a really good chance to be a strong fantasy contributor to your team. An RB2, right? He's not an RB1. I don't think any of the guys we're going to talk about for the next couple of guys are going to be RB1s, but he's got an RB2 in him.
We're pushing the 8th round here. So.
Yeah. And he's definitely worth shooting your shot on to see out of that backfield who shows up, because I think Boston Scott's still hanging around there, right?
Yes.
They're pretty
Always.
They're pretty high on Kenny Gainwell as well. And then you've got Swift and Penny, and I went my upside with Swift earlier, and that's just because of the talent, because of the athlete. This time I'm going upside Harris, and I think it's touchdowns is where I'm at. I think Allen runs less. I think this offense is going to end up going to be featuring Damian Harris, and that's my upside just because of the scoring and the opportunity on that electric offense.
This is going to sound like blasphemy because you know my Damian Harris love.
I know.
I have Rashad Penny just because
I
it
totally
has
get
to
it.
be
It's close.
5.7 yards per carry for his career. If he takes Miles Sanders' role and they just say, fuck, we brought Swift in for insurance or to see what he is, right? Or for the third down back, and they want to say, fuck you, Kenny Gainwell. It is Rashad Penny for when he plays because the guy's electric, the guy's a beast. He's actually pretty athletic. And that offense is just too good not to have him as the upside. Because if he takes that role, he's going to fucking boom. As much as I love Damian Harris, he's never going to be an RB1. Right? No. I can't say he's going to be an RB1.
No, and Cook is a talented player. And I don't see Harris being featured. I'm just looking at touchdown upside there where I expect Hurts to run in more than I do Josh Allen this year as far as touchdowns.
Do you think they're going to scale back Josh Allen's running this year?
I think him and Lamar both scale back their running this year.
Storey, what do you got for your floor?
It's Brian Robinson, and it goes back to we had talked about him previously. It's just Ron Rivera being an idiot, and if he's going to get between the 20s and he's going to get 15 carries a game, then you can't not put him as a floor play. Here, Damian Harris doesn't have a path right now with James Cook being ahead of him, and Penny, that's just. I mean, I know we weren't talking about injuries, but there's very real injury possibility with Rashad Penny.
How dare you not include Damian Harris on any list? Okay?
I saw him running 3-4 touchdowns, and he couldn't crack the field with Ramondre Stevenson last year.
How dare you? And he was injured, by the way. And Kappa was the biggest Damian Harris guy. Shout out, Kappa. We love you. Can't wait to have you back in this seat whenever you want. Damian Harris, floor for me. And there's a reason they signed him, right? He destroyed Buffalo every time he played them in cold weather. Why did they bring in Damian Harris? Because that's what they needed. Right? A fucking bruiser that's actually pretty athletic. All right, last group here, lightning round. Tank Bigsby, Tyler Algier, Roshan Johnson. I'm going to give you mine first. Actually, switch it up a little bit. Upside is Roshan Johnson because there's no injury. Like these other guys I feel like need injuries to become relevant. Roshan could take the goddamn job without an injury. I love Roshan Johnson. I like the Bears this year. Storey, what do you got?
Yeah. I think you gave us a layup with this one. We're all Roshan Johnson here, and it's not that we're huge Roshan Johnson truthers. It's just that he's got a path to taking over the job by week 6, realistically, and these other guys don't. Without an injury, Algier has a nice floor, and we'll get to that, but he doesn't have the upside. And Tank Bigsby, he's well behind ETN right now.
Yeah, I like Bigsby a lot coming in this year. I think he's going to cut into work earlier than what you guys do. But I also think Roshan's going to be on the field on third downs very early in the season. I said it on our previous pod. Super excited about him taking over the entire role after just the third down role. I'm going Roshan ceiling as well.
My floor, Taylor Algier. Just because I know he has 8 to 12 touches built in every week without the injury. And the thing is, Roshan could just be a rookie that doesn't play. I doubt it, but there's more of a chance in that where Algier with that offense runs the ball. Fuckload. They're efficient. We saw what he did last year. Killed it. It's Algier.
Yeah, it's Algier for me too. I'm sorry, I stepped over you there, Nick, but it's Algier for me too. It's everything you just said. Arthur Smith wants to run the ball. There's a guaranteed 8 touches there every single game. He'll catch some passes too. It might be 4 carries, 4 catches. It might be 6 carries, 2 catches.
Yeah.
But one way or another, he's getting the ball. It's a different league now. They're not going to give Bijan Robinson a million freaking carries, despite what some fantasy pundits would have you believe. Bijan Robinson's probably going to get a 70%, 65, 70% workload. That leaves a lot of opportunity for other guys. I know Cordell Patterson's still there, but Algier proved last year, at the end of last year, he can get it done.
And they're not going to give him all that work knowing you have a player that's established behind you. Why would you kill him, right? You spent draft capital like he's a 4 to 6 year guy opposed to a 3 to 2 year or 2 to 3 year guy.
Mm-hmm. I think the offense will run through Bijan and Patterson on third downs, doing some catching. I think Bigsby has a clearer path to more work than Algier for the remainder of the season, from early on all the way through. Personally,
wow, you love
so
Tank.
I'm going Bigsby with my floor.
You are a tank.
Yep, I love his name.
Tank
Dude. How do you like? You're a running back named Tank. How do I not love you?
That's nice. All right, boys, this was fun. We'll be back with wide receivers. Professional Fanatics right here. I'm pointing. Rob's Roundtable. These guys, Mike Storey, Nico. Appreciate it. Let's go, boys.
And it's been a complete joy.
Oh, man. I think I cooked myself. Too skin. Stick a fork in me, Jerry. I'm done.